quiet new girl, a ruthless high school queen, a dodgeball, a viral video, and a takedown no one saw coming. Think silence is weakness? Think again. Watch before everyone's talking. Monday mornings at Eastwood High School were always crowded and loud, like a flood of students pouring out from shiny yellow school buses. But amid the chaos, one girl stepped down last, quietly, cautiously. Her name was Leah Daniels, 17 years old, recently transferred from Southside Chicago. An old backpack clung tightly to her shoulders. She gave the strap a small tug, as if bracing herself. She hadn't come here to make friends, and certainly not to stand out. Her only goal: finish senior year in peace and leave as soon as possible. Leah moved quickly across the courtyard, avoiding eye contact, the kind of glances that were fleeting but loaded with curiosity and quiet suspicion. Her skin was darker than most of the students here. Her long braids were tied neatly, her eyes sharp but quiet. She was no stranger being watched, labeled, marked as different. After transferring schools 3 times, Leah had learned the rules of survival. Don't talk too much. Don't draw attention. Don't let anyone see you hurt. The red brick building of Eastwood High rose ahead like a wall, one that stood between her and the thin hope of a peaceful final year. But as she passed through the iron gates, something deep inside told her this place wouldn't be as easy as she hoped. The bell rang. The hallways flooded instantly with students. Leah pressed herself against the wall, eyes fixed on the paper in her hand. Her locker number. Everything felt unfamiliar. The laughter, the cafeteria smells, and the gaze tracking her from the end of the corridor. She didn't know the name behind those eyes. Not yet. But that look, cold, calculated, challenging, had already chosen her as a target. And Leah could feel it. Her silence was about to be tested. First break at Eastwood High was when the unspoken rules started to surface. Most new students needed a week to understand the invisible map of power inside the school. Leah needed less than a day. As she walked to the main hallway and opened her locker, she felt a chill, not from the air conditioning, but from a gaze fixed on her from less than 10 steps away. Amelia Grace. The name floated through whispers across classroom rows like it carried weight. 18 years old. Blonde hair always curled to perfection, like she just walked out of a salon. Daughter of the wealthiest family in town. And more importantly, Amelia never let anyone cross the line she had drawn at this school. Leah had just finished turning the lock when a voice spoke behind her, sweet, but sharp enough to chill the spine. "Oh, you're the new girl, right? From Chicago." Leah turned, meeting Amelia's flawless face. Gray-blue eyes, a polite smile that lacked any real warmth. Flanking her were Haley and Sierra, 2 loyal satellites, giggling even though no one had said anything funny. "Yeah," Leah replied softly, keeping her tone polite. Amelia tilted her head, eyes scanning Leah from head to toe, pausing at her worn-out sneakers. "Interesting. I always thought kids from Chicago had more style." A soft chuckle rose from the group behind them. Leah bit her lip, her hand tightening around her backpack strap. But she said nothing. She knew this kind of talk. The perfect blend of sarcasm and mockery. Not sharp enough to be punished, but far too clear to ignore. Amelia stepped closer, as if to test the boundaries of Leah's personal space. "I hope you find your place here," she said sweetly. "But just so you know, Eastwood High has its own rules, and not everyone likes strangers." Leah took a deep breath. Her gaze didn't waver, didn't flinch, just steady, like a mountain facing the wind. "Thanks for the warning," she replied quietly. For a moment, Amelia hesitated, not from fear, but because she wasn't used to resistance that didn't look like resistance. Leah turned and walked away, leaving the trio behind with unreadable expressions. The bell rang. Leah silently stepped into her next class. Her heart beat a little faster than usual. She knew it clearly. The storm had only just begun. Day 2 at Eastwood High unfolded like a quiet stage. Leah entered biology class and chose her usual seat by the window, her small escape, where she could stare out onto the schoolyard, far from the eyes that watched too closely. But today, the sunlight didn't last long. By second period, The storm had already arrived. The teacher had just stepped out to grab some materials when Haley made her move. She approached Leah with a cafeteria cup of orange juice in hand, smiling brightly, but there was nothing warm behind it. "Leah, want some vitamin C? You're looking a little pale," Haley chirped, her voice slicing through the quiet like a blade wrapped in silk. Before Leah could answer, splat, the cup accidentally tipped. Cold liquid splashed across the desk and directly onto Leah's white button-up shirt. A ripple of laughter broke out from the back corner, where Amelia sat with her legs elegantly crossed, watching like a queen on a throne. "Oops," Haley gasped, hand over her mouth, but her eyes sparkled with satisfaction. "I'm so clumsy." The classroom stirred. Some students looked away, uncomfortable. Others discreetly pulled out their phones of film. Amelia laughed, not loud, but just enough for everyone to hear. "Guess she's not used to Eastwood drinks. In Chicago, they probably just drink tap water." "Huh?" Leah stood, slowly, deliberately. She looked down at the orange stain spreading across her shirt, then swept her eyes across the class, finally settling on Amelia. No words, just silence, the kind of silence that holds more weight than shouting ever could. She picked up her soaked notebook and quietly walked out of the classroom, leaving behind scattered laughter and a few hushed whispers. Why didn't she say anything? She's cold as ice, like a statue or something. But as Leah passed by Amelia, she paused for a brief second. No turning around, no dramatic look over the shoulder. Just one line, drop soft as silk, sharp as steel. "Some things are only funny the first time." Then she walked away. The room fell silent. Amelia froze, her smile stiffening. Haley looked confused. No one quite knew what Leah had just done, but no one was laughing anymore. That Wednesday, the moment Leah stepped into the gym, she could feel something was off. It wasn't the giggles in the corner, or the sideways glances. It was the way Amelia stood in the center of the court, hands on her hips, like she was about to announce the Oscar winners. Coach Alvarez was busy chatting with the basketball coach, so the class was left mostly unsupervised during warm-ups. "Leah," Amelia called out sweetly, syrup in her voice, but blades underneath. "Want to join us for a little game? We're playing dodgeball, but with a twist." Laughter bubbled from her crew, especially Sierra, the one who didn't need a reason to throw anything. Haley was already recording on her phone. Leah saw it coming. She didn't flinch. She calmly set her backpack down by the wall, tightened her shoelaces. She used to train with her dad every morning in Chicago, punching bags, dodging strikes. Every drop of sweat had been a lesson in control. Amelia threw the first ball. Too soft. A tester. Leah dodged with ease. Sierra came next. Faster, harder. Leah dipped her shoulder, and the ball grazed past her. A crowd started forming at the edge of the court, drawn in like spectators to a match no one invited. But everyone wanted to see. Then came the final ball. Amelia again, smiling like she was about to deliver the final blow. Leah spun, caught the ball midair with one hand. The crowd gasped. A ripple of awe, like watching an NBA highlight in real time. She held the ball, walked slowly toward Amelia. No words, no theatrics, just cold eyes locked on a face that no longer smiled. Be careful who you play games with, especially when you don't know the rules, Leah said softly, then gently dropped the ball onto the hardwood. That sound, a single ball hitting the gym floor, echoed louder than 100 screams. One ball dropped, but a whole group lost their balance. After that memorable gym class, Leah thought things might settle down. But to Amelia, being humiliated in front of a crowd was nothing short of a declaration of war. And in Amelia's world, high school wars always began online. Within hours, cryptic Instagram stories began to appear. A blurry photo of Leah leaving the gym, captioned, "Cold or just pretending?" A choppy video edit of Leah dodging dodgeballs, set to mocking music. "Can't touch this." And worst of all, a picture of Leah sitting alone in the cafeteria, with the caption, "Mysterious girl, or just a girl no one wants to sit with." Eastwood High turned into a living stage, and Leah, without asking, had become the lead in a play she didn't audition for. Every step down the hallway brought new whispers, side eyes, snickers. But Amelia hadn't expected one thing. Leah didn't react. She didn't delete her accounts, didn't skip class, didn't clap back. Instead, Leah started smiling, a quiet, unreadable smile, like a breeze over Still Lake, but just enough to keep Amelia awake at night. What is with this girl? Haley asked, scrolling through their stories. She's not clueless. She's playing. Sierra muttered, eyes locked on her screen. Even Zach, who normally stayed out of girl drama, started feeling like something was off. Meanwhile, Leah kept watching. She logged every face, every echo of laughter, every anonymous comment on every post, not to plot revenge, but to understand one thing. The most powerful person isn't the one who shouts the loudest. It's the one who knows when silence speaks louder. And Leah, she was making a plan, not to stand out, but to end the game on her terms. Monday morning, Eastwood High's hallway buzzed like a stage before curtain call. But this time, Amelia wasn't the one holding the script. Leah walked in with the same gray hoodie, headphones resting around her neck, braids tied back neatly. But something had changed. Her eyes. No more hesitation. No more glancing away. She walked straight ahead, past curious stares, past wary whispers, as if she were the one stepping onto the stage now. And then, bam, an anonymous message started circulating through the school group chats. A clip no one had seen before. No edits, no music, just raw footage from last week's gym class. Leah dodging Zach's shove, pivoting out of reach, her expression calm as still water. A moment no one had noticed then, but now it was spreading fast with the caption, "The girl who doesn't know fear." And like dominoes tipping one after the other, the comments followed. Don't mess with Leah. She's chill without even trying. Zach looked knocked out, and no one even touched him. This girl's playing chess while the rest of us are in gym class. While Amelia scrambled to figure out who leaked the video, Leah sat peacefully in the library, reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a quiet inside joke for anyone observant enough to get it. In English class, when the teacher asked, "Where does true strength come from?" Leah didn't hesitate. From knowing who you are and not needing to prove it to anyone. The room went still. Even Amelia had no cards left to play, because there was one thing Amelia had forgotten. When you think you're writing someone else's story, you might just be the background character in theirs. Tuesday morning started like any other, but the atmosphere at Eastwood High had shifted entirely. Whispers buzzed through the halls. Eyes darted. Excitement pulsed in the air, like a crowd waiting for a title fight to begin. And at the center of it all, Leah, the girl they now called the Quiet Storm. Amelia Grace, desperate to reclaim her throne, decided to play her final card, a carefully edited video, stitched together with clips of Leah walking alone, paired with a pointed caption. Cool on the surface, lonely underneath. Posted as a 24-hour Instagram story, just long enough to reignite the spotlight. The problem? Leah saw it coming. In third period media class, the assignment was simple. Create a video that captured your self-portrait. Most students chose humor, little skits, silly voiceovers, casual anecdotes. But Leah used her 90-second video to tell a story without a single word, just intercut visuals. Leah training martial arts with her father in a dusty garage. Leah wrapping a Band-Aid around her wrist after falling. Leah reading alone in the library. And finally, a shot of Leah staring into the camera. Still, silent. Her gaze didn't scream, but it carried more weight than any line ever written. When the video ended, the room fell completely silent. Even the teacher said, "That's the first time I've seen a student tell a story without one word and hold the entire class captive." Amelia, sitting mid-row, was speechless. Her carefully crafted embarrassment video was now irrelevant. drowned out by the very girl she tried to break. And that's when everyone began to realize Leah wasn't just fighting back. She was rewriting the story, one frame at a time. Thursday afternoon, the backfield behind Eastwood High buzzed louder than usual. A rumor had spread like wildfire. Leah's being challenged after school on the field. No one knew who started it, but everyone knew about it. Amelia stood with arms crossed, Haley and Sierra flanking her like shadows. Zach, Amelia's older brother, and a few of his football buddies lined the far edges of the grass like stage props. Leah stood alone, 3 paces behind the white chalk line, backpack slung loosely over one shoulder, her face calm, like she just walked out of math class. Amelia stepped forward, lips curled in a sneer. Finally decided to show up? Or are you here to cry in front of an audience? Leah didn't answer. She simply set her backpack on the ground, unzipped her hoodie. Not fast, not dramatic, just ready. A crowd formed a circle around them. Phones raised high like it was a concert. The energy cracked like static. Zach, all 6'2" of him, still wearing tape from last night's football game, stood in front of Leah with a smirk. "I don't hit girls," he said smugly, "unless they ask for it." Leah tilted her head. "Then don't say I didn't warn you." Zach lunged, a blur of muscle like a blitz on the field. But Leah didn't flinch. In one fluid, almost cinematic move, she pivoted right, grabbed his arm, twisted her body. Bam! Zach hit the grass. Flat, staring up in shock, like he had no idea what just happened. Silence swallowed the crowd. Amelia was stunned. She turned to Sierra, the one who was always ready to fight someone else's battles. "What are you waiting for?" she hissed. Sierra growled and stormed toward Leah, but before she could land a single touch, Leah stepped, turned, locked her wrist, and dropped her to the ground. Sierra flat on the turf, her face pale as paper. That was when Amelia stopped smiling. Her hand trembled. Leah picked up her backpack, turned to Amelia, her eyes glowing like headlights cutting through a pitch-black night. "Do you want to be next?" Amelia didn't respond. She couldn't. And in that moment, everyone at Eastwood High understood one thing. Leah hadn't been silent because she was weak. She had been silent because she knew when she finally spoke, the world would have no choice but to listen. The following Friday, Eastwood High felt different, like the school had just experienced an earthquake, and no one had quite processed the aftershock. Leah walked in, same old hoodie, same steady stride. But this time, the stares that followed weren't suspicious or mocking. They carried something new, respect, and maybe caution. Amelia was different, too. She arrived late, quiet, no echo of laughter in her wake, no orbit of followers like planets circling the sun. Haley and Sierra now sat at separate desks in class. No goodbyes, no loyalty left. In the far corner of the library, Mr. Anderson, the school counselor, spotted Leah reading quietly. He walked over, not too formally, just enough to begin. "I heard about yesterday," he said. Leah closed her book and gave a small nod. "No one blames you," he continued, sincerely. "But do you know why everyone was so struck by it?" Leah didn't speak. "Because you didn't fight with your fists. You fought with control. And at your age, that's worth more than any punch." Leah looked up. Her eyes had changed. No longer cold, but steady. The look of someone who had just crossed the line and grown because of it. "I didn't want to hurt anyone," she said quietly, "but I couldn't keep being the target." Mr. Anderson nodded. "You taught this school a lesson it won't forget. True strength isn't about fighting back. It's about knowing when to stand up and how to do it." During lunch that day, something unusual happened. A group of students, the same ones who had once laughed at Leah, walked up to her table and said, "If you need anyone to train with for next month's martial arts tournament, we're in." Leah offered a small smile. Yes, the battle was over, but its impact had only just begun. The following week, the halls of Eastwood High felt reborn. The stares disappeared. The mocking laughter faded. and the girl once whispered about as a silent shadow. Leah Daniels was now spoken of with something close to reverence, not because she chased glory. She didn't. She still arrived early, sat in the back row, still ate lunch alone with a small sandwich wrapped in burlap. The only difference? No one mistook her silence for weakness anymore, because now they knew that silence had dethroned the queen. Amelia wasn't expelled. No one needed that. But she learned the most expensive lesson of all. The fear she once inflicted now stared right back at her. One quiet weekend afternoon, Leah stood inside her father's old boxing gym. Mr. Marcus Daniels, the man who once taught her, the strongest strike is the one you never have to throw. She jabbed the heavy bag lightly, not out of anger, but discipline. I used to think I was weak for staying silent, Leah said. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. No, standing tall in silence. That's the strongest thing a person can do. At graduation, Leah stepped onto the stage in her deep blue gown. The entire auditorium fell silent as she accepted her diploma. She turned to face the crowd, her calm gaze sweeping across rows that once held snickers and side eyes. Now, nothing but quiet awe. Leah didn't give a speech. She just smiled. But everyone understood. Some messages don't need words. They live in your steadiness, in the way you walk, even when no one's clapping. And if someone were to ask Leah what she learned during her stormy senior year, she'd answer simply, staying true to yourself is sometimes the biggest victory you can win. If you've ever been dismissed because you were different, if you've ever endured glances, whispers, or judgment in silence, if there were days you felt invisible in a loud, crowded world, then the story of Leah Daniels is a message just for you. You are not weak because you are quiet. You haven't lost just because you chose not to fight with anger. Sometimes the world tests you with silence, but if you stand tall, if you remain yourself, that is already a win. If this story touched something in you, share it, not to tell the world about Leah, but to give strength to those who are still silent. Because maybe change doesn't start with shouting. Maybe it starts with one person, brave enough to stand in silence